I'm getting you both okay.
Okay, we're live, Ange.
Okay, we're live, everybody. So, good evening and welcome to Golf Cart Adventures in Lilydale with Angie and Karen. And we're excited to see you again this week. Thank you, everybody. So many of you watched last week of our tour of Lilydale, and that we were excited to do it. And it sounded like you maybe were too. So, this week, we're going to start by showing you different things in Lilydale and kind of get more detailed because last week we did a general tour, showed you everything, and this week we'll kind of go one by one, and we might even have a surprise guest that you're going to get to meet and that we're going to get to talk to as well. So, oh wow, look at, hey, you know what? Did you just see Greg Kehn?
Did
I
you?
just saw Greg Kehn. Let's. I think we should turn around. Hang on one second. We're gonna go back and see Greg Kehn. We were actually going to show you the hotel. Here it is. Actually, I'll do a quick drive-by, right, Karen?
Yeah, it
Karen's
looks
here
like
with
our one camera might be glitchy because of the speed that Angie's driving, right?
Oh,
My phone can't keep up with the 4G connection. No, that's why I'm getting 5G this week.
I'm
No,
learning how to go fast in the golf cart now. It goes a little quicker. When I
yeah,
was first driving it, I was driving a little slow. But this is like, if you look at this is your view from the Maplewood Hotel, and that's kind of what we're driving up to. Oh, Karen's got you on the other side. That's the Maplewood Hotel. That's the beautiful view from the Maplewood Hotel, if you see. And one of the things, I've stayed in this hotel so many times. It's an old historical building. It's amazing, and you can see the sign. But one of the highlights of the Maplewood Hotel is the porch with the rocking chair. Hello, yes. Are you enjoying sitting in the rocking chairs? It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, my favorite thing. Yeah, yes, I feel the same. So if you see, there's plenty of rocking chairs, and you can come. It's so relaxing because you can sit there and just look at the water. I come personally, and I sit and I meditate. I love doing that. It's amazing, right, Karen?
yeah, definitely. The boathouse down there is right on the water, over the water, and you can see fish and I can't remember if I've seen fish, but you can definitely see the seaweed in the water and so forth. And there's a lot of ducks and different wildlife that's on the water, so that's exciting too.
Yes, yes. So I want to go back because I can't believe we saw Greg Kehn sitting out there on his porch.
Of course, of course. And
We need to say hi.
need to say hi to Greg.
I'll tell you, we were talking about this. Like, one of the things I love about Lilydale is you can. I love going for walks in the evening. You can go for a walk in the evening, and it's a community, a neighborhood that people actually talk to each other. I love that. If you say hi to somebody, they stop and say hi. It takes me actually a pretty long time to go on a walk because I wind up talking to everybody, but I love that. And I know you said that too. You did too, Karen.
Yeah, definitely. You get to meet everyone's so nice and friendly,
Yeah,
and you get to mix it up with other golf cart folks.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of which, here's some
There's some
golf
golf
carts.
carts here as you go by. This is the back of those beautiful three sister houses that I love. And we're coming back up here again now. This is Cottage Row, and these are the houses that are sitting right directly on the water. It's gorgeous. There's a guest house here, a guest house or two, I can't remember, but there's some guest houses, and you can stay in those. And again, it's a beautiful water view, and it's so peaceful. That's what everybody says. I think every one of my clients that comes in says, love being here because I love how peaceful it is.
Yeah, the birds and the energy just shifts. There's something about it I can't even describe, and I think everyone describes it that way. That when you first come in, something just seems so much calmer and
Sure does. Sure does. Well, look at this. This is the auditorium, you can see, but actually we come up here, and I can't believe how lucky we are that who's here sitting on his porch. It's Greg Kehn. Hi, Greg. Good. How are you? So, do you mind if we come up and visit? All right, here we go. We have to park the golf cart. I didn't do well with that before, did I, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's okay.
Well, there's not
Last
enough
time
room for a car to come through. Maybe you
last time
better.
I told Karen just to sit there with her foot on it, right?
Do you want to move it so a car can get through,
No,
Ange?
I think we're okay. We're okay. Okay, for a little while. Greg, I love your porch. This is nice.
Angie left the shot. No, I'm in it.
Oh, are you in the shot too?
Yeah, I'm gonna just go to one camera. Let me remove me.
Thanks for letting us come up on the porch.
Sure.
So I'm going to sit next to you, I think, so Karen can keep us.
Oh, I got my audio removed. So let me just take a minute here, folks, and add myself in. I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm not sure how we're conveying to people.
I think we're good.
Let me flip the camera around.
Okay, audio, technical difficulties, everybody. We have always a couple technical things. Yeah, I'm happy that we're back. So everybody, welcome. So this is Golf Cart Adventures in Lilydale with Angie and Karen. I'm registered Lilydale medium Angie Apt, and I'm with my friend, registered Lilydale medium Greg Kehn. Welcome, Greg.
Hi. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
good. You enjoying the summer now?
I'm enjoying the summer. I love summer. It's my favorite season.
Yeah.
You too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we go to Florida and we get away from the snow.
I know you
Like,
do.
just
I
get
know.
away and be
I
out
know.
of
That's my long-term plan too, is to get down there too and get away from the
Good.
snow. Everybody, I want to read you because Greg is so interesting, and we're so lucky that we got to come and sit. We're on Greg's porch here in Lilydale, and he has so many great stories and mediumship and experiences and all kinds of things. So, do you mind if I read your bio?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna read Greg's bio. So just so you know who he is. So Reverend Gregory Kehn is a fourth generation spiritualist medium. And I'm going to ask him about that first, about being a fourth generation. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I gave messages when I was 8 years old.
Did you?
Been up here visiting for years and years, and then started reading here. And it was something that as a child I always enjoyed it. My grandmother all back, my dad's side's family. I had family here in 1890.
Really?
They were here in the Dale.
Wow, that's, what I was talking to Leslie earlier, and she was telling me that you just found some of that out, right?
Yeah, just found out the relatives, and it was interesting to go up to the museum, and we gave him the names, and he checked out and found on the old programs that they were speakers and ministers.
Oh,
and
wow.
wrote music here and all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome. So really, so we say fourth generation medium, but you're actually more generations than that, right?
Yeah, we've been finding out there's a lot more generations than that. I found family in Ohio. We were over by the Grand River, and as we were driving along the Grand River, I had this feeling to drive down this one dirt road. So we drove down the dirt road, and we came out to a paved road, and there was a cemetery there. And I think there were 7 families of the families that were my relatives that were up here.
Wow.
And they were all the tombstones. You can still read them. It was really interesting.
Wow, that's awesome. I love history. That's amazing to know that and kind of know your where you came from.
Yeah, there was relatives here that spoke here and wrote books here, and wrote music here, and sang here, and shared services.
Wow. That's awesome. And that's all like in the Lilydale Museum?
Yeah, some of that's already there. Here's the names of the
here we go.
There.
Okay, so we have, let's see if I can pronounce them. Emma Rude, Tuttle. Okay, that's her. Oh, and so Rude is her maiden name.
Yeah.
Hudson Tuttle wrote books together and composed music for Lilydale.
Yeah.
Love it. And then we have Miss Gleason, first season of Lilydale guest speaker. And who's that?
That's a relative.
Okay.
Gleason.
Okay.
So it's been interesting to have that connection.
Yeah.
When we started digging into things, Leslie is very good at that, and she was digging into things, and then we went up there and checked out the names, and he found it right away. So
wow.
really
I think that's amazing. Everybody, Lilydale has a museum, and that's something I would recommend if you come down, because you can find out a lot about the history of Lilydale in that museum, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, okay, so I'm going to go back to this. So Greg was ordained in 1980 by the Christ Universal Spiritual Chapel in Warren, Ohio, and in 1985 by the International General Assembly of Spiritualists in New York. He first began to give messages, and you said this, at Inspiration Stump in Lilydale at the age of 8. So could you imagine that? Like, I think I gave my first message when I was in my 40s, and I was pretty scared. I remember I kind of thought, like, why did I put my name down here and go up? But it was amazing to do.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it. So can you remember that, doing that back when
Oh,
you were
I
eight?
remember doing that. I remember a lot of the mediums, and that there's been such a change of people in the Dale from that time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, it seems like everybody's new.
Yeah.
You know, it's like really interesting to look back at it. And I remember so many mediums that were mentors to me. And, you know, they would share services. And as a child, I'd go out there and, you know, come on up, you got to give a message, you know. It's like very supportive.
Yeah.
You know.
So they would call you up and you felt pretty safe because of how supportive they were?
Oh, yeah, I felt very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So it was always a wonderful energy to come up here, and we'd spend the summers here and either be in the campgrounds or in a cottage, you know, and then I ended up purchasing a cottage when I was a young man. I purchased a cottage in 18th Street for, I don't even know how many years now.
Yeah. I'm actually right down the street from where you were now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. So don't you think too there's something about that stump too? Like as soon as you get there, it's easy to give messages and easy to connect that energy.
Well, I think there's such a vortex of energy here in the Dale, and not only just the stump, but I mean, the Healing Temple has wonderful energy. And then you go to Forest Temple, and I find that the lady that was an Indian medicine woman, she used to come here, and she's passed away years now, but she used to come here and do what she termed the earth walk. And it was in front of the hotel where they had stumps out there.
Yeah.
And you'd sit on one, and she would say what it's for, and you move around the whole circle of stumps.
Wow.
And
Is
she
that
would
what those
show
stumps
me.
are for? I never knew what they were for.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she. I'm trying to remember her name at the moment, but I was a kid, and she used to teach me a lot of things about sitting on the stumps and what you're experiencing in each energy.
Wow.
And then go out in the woods and find the spiraled bark on the trees. And she would show me the trees. If you're looking up at it, spiraling clockwise, that would be the earth energy going to the universe. And when you find the trees that spiral the other direction, it's your, you know, the energy from the planets coming to us.
Wow.
Entering the earth.
Wow. So that's kind of the meaning that's what the trees are doing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's
So
awesome.
Greg, does that happen everywhere or just in Lilydale?
I think it happens everywhere to some extent, but the energy here is phenomenal. You know, where in the world do you go to a spiritual center and the spiritual center is in the vortex?
Yeah.
And the people actually live there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to all these other places in the world, people travel there, but they don't live there.
Yeah.
So I find unique that the magnification of my mind, what I feel, is the magnification of everything here is magnified.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, if you're going to be in a really positive energy, this is the place.
Yeah. And that's why really like, we talk about that and everybody says it, that they come through the gates and they feel that energy and feel that peace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that too. So, okay. So I'm going to go back to this again. Okay. So in Greg's early years as a teenager, he learned many techniques from his grandmother, a Cherokee Native American, and his mother, who were both mediums.
Yeah.
So you grew up really like in your house with mediums.
Well, I grew up in a spiritualist family, and I found my father, he was German, but he was a person that was very intuitive. He either liked you or he didn't. There was no in between.
Okay.
And my mom and my grandma, I never knew who was going to be in the living room. It was either they were doing healing or reading for someone. So, and getting up in the morning, I remember my grandmother when she was alive and my mom, that what'd you dream last night? Analyze dreams, analyze what you're feeling. I remember going to school one day, and my grandmother, I got dressed, I was ready for school, had breakfast, and she looked at me and she goes, "You're not going to school today." And I was like, "Grandma, fine. You know, it's like, I'm all right."
Well, Grandma says that, right?
And she says, "Something's going to happen at school. And if you're there, you'll be involved in it. And if you're not there, you won't be involved in it." Well, the two brothers that were twins, that were my neighbors, they got into a fist fight with each other. And I know I would have been in the middle of it separating them. And I would have probably been with them after school.
Okay.
So it worked out that I didn't go that day. And she said, "Go put your play clothes on and start your chores." Because we lived on a farm.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
And it was interesting that, I looked at the bus going by because I knew what time the bus would be coming by, and I looked at the bus and they weren't in their seat in the bus that normally I'd be sitting.
Oh.
Next thing you know, I see their mother's car down the road to go to school and get them.
So they were in a lot of trouble.
But she took care of that real quick. It was like, nope, you're not going there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's I think it's amazing to grow up with that. And to, be encouraged to connect to your intuition and not be like people I teach, and I know you teach too.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times they're in their 30s and they want to learn about their intuition, and really they had it when they were born.
Yeah, I think we all have it. It's just the idea that in many ways we don't have the support surrounding it. So therefore it gets shoved aside and we deal with more analytical things or guidelines of religions and different things that families believe.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some families that had extremely psychic children, but yet the parents would be whatever religion would be limiting it and going, you can't say that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I've had it happen many times where, I'd read for someone that was very, very young. And my God, they're so in tune. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the youngest one I read for was 3 years old.
Did you? Really?
And her parents were leaving Cleveland to come up to the Dale, and they both had appointments. And the little girl would not shut up from Cleveland all the way up here that I want a reading. You're getting a reading, I want a reading.
Wow.
Well, the father walked in and he goes, I don't know what to do with her. And I said, well, just have her sit on your lap. And I said, I'll give her a reading. At that time, I had cassettes. It's quite a few years ago. And I recorded for her and did the whole thing. And as she's sitting on the father's lap, I'm going in, what's there for her and what she's aware of. And she said to me, you don't wear the robe anymore. And she says, you're not in the big stone building.
Wow.
And she recognized me as a monk and a teacher, and that she came to class at the monastery.
I'm getting chills.
It was really interesting that it's like, here's the 3-year-old, and she walked in and she did this when she walked up to me. And it was like, okay.
Wow.
And about halfway through the conversation, her father picks her up and looks at her like, is this my kid?
Yeah. So she was recognizing you from a past life.
Yeah, she tied it right into the past life and read for her, finished reading for her, and she got down. And she did the bow again and gave me a hug. And I handed her the tape. And I said, here's your reading. And she was, at that point, completely satisfied that I had my reading. But we talked about a lot of stuff, and she was just dead on. I mean, just dead on. And the father didn't know what to do. He walked out on the porch. He said to his wife, he goes, I can't even talk about it.
Like it's something else that he brought his 3-year-old daughter here who was filled with so much wisdom. It sounds like,
Yeah, just amazing what kids come up with.
Yeah, and that connection to her intuition. And it's so great that the parents brought her here and you talked to her like it's normal.
I've still read for her, and she's an adult now, a nurse, and she's got 3 kids.
Really? Wow.
So it's really interesting to, work with her.
Yeah, it is. I remember talking to you years ago. I interviewed you for something. I think I did. And I remember it struck me like you talk about intuition. Like a lot of people talk about it. I have to learn it, and can I do it? And it struck me. You talk about it like it's natural. What do you mean? Like it's just that
it's a complete natural function, and I believe we all use it. Even the people that don't understand it or don't believe they're using it, they're using it.
Yeah.
It's just that they're not attached to understanding.
Right.
And if they get to attachment of understanding it, then they can utilize it more.
Yes. And then you can use it as a tool in your own life.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think it's good to learn it for sure, to do research, which we love to do and help people, but it's wonderful to use it in your own life.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I try to get people to understand. You don't have to be learning to be a medium, to be a professional medium. You can make your life better, your family's life better, everyone you're in contact with better, because you're utilizing what you're really feeling guided in.
Yeah.
And you can plant seeds of love and wisdom and guidance with whoever, wherever.
Yeah.
And they don't have to know you're doing it through mediumship. I have had times where I'll make a comment to somebody and they sort of look at me strange, like, how did he know that? And I just slided by that way.
Like, I don't know what you mean.
I don't really get into the idea of sometimes explaining it. Just, that's what I'm feeling, and I go with it.
Yeah. And you're giving them like very wise advice and helping them.
Yeah, because it's their relatives or their guides that are actually coming through and giving the information. What some people don't understand is you could be, and I'm just using this as an example, you could be as Catholic as anyone, but it doesn't mean you're not in tune.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're not aware of spirit.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're not being guided.
Right.
And we may use different titles and names.
Yeah.
But the amount of wisdom is there. You know, I've seen it many times where you put it in different titles.
Yeah.
You know, different religions, different belief systems, they put in different titles.
Yeah.
And I always found it fascinating that it's like white people are afraid in a spiritual way, when in reality, Jesus was teaching that when he walked the earth plane.
He sure was.
And
Yeah,
it's like, I don't understand how they defer from that, but yet say, okay, here's the spiritual guidelines. Well, if you really look at the Bible and look at spiritual guidelines, there's a whole bunch of things in there that are for you using your intuitive ability and God's guidance. For
sure. I agree. And why not connect? It's about healing, right? I mean, I believe everything that we do with intuition and mediumship is always about healing. It's going to make your life better.
Well, I look at it this way. Reading for someone is healing. Go into the healing temple and receive laying on of hands is healing. You can send out absent healing in prayer. I mean, I look at it as all healing.
Me too.
I mean, I've had people in my reading room and I'd read for them. And like one gentleman got up and walked out without his cane.
Really?
He got down the street the other end of the auditorium, and his wife come back and got the cane, and she's, I don't know what happened.
Because he could walk without the cane.
And he didn't even think about picking up the cane. But it was like, I look at the energy that changes, and we're a vessel, let's say a conduit of energy flow through us, and I don't question it. It's like when you're out giving a message of service, I've had some people say, well, I've already had a message. And I say, I don't argue with spirit. You know,
I do that too.
What they're giving me to give to that person, whether they've had a message or not, to me shouldn't matter.
Right.
Because it should be, if spirit's putting that effort and energy to reach someone, it's something important for them.
For sure.
And why should we make a judgment, not to give them that?
I agree, because when you're at the stump doing that or doing the outdoor services, you're guided. You can feel it every single time,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And trusting it. So Greg, what brought you to Lilydale? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Well, my mother, grandmother, and like we said earlier, the other family members, there's a inline level of people in mediumship healing, and I was in that when I was a child. I mean, my babysitter was 2 or 3 nights a week sitting in class, or sitting in a meditation, or sitting in a dark circle where we would do our mediumship.
Yeah.
And I remember on a Wednesday night we had that. On a Friday night we had that. On Sunday we had that.
In your house, right?
Well, some was at church and some was at the house.
Okay.
And other mediums that we'd be at their home.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going to friends' homes, and I was a little kid, so I'd be sitting in the footstool in the circle. And, all the adults were there. But it's like they were all mediums, and we all worked with sitting in the circle and working with mediumship. And I remember table tipping, and I remember sitting at the table and watching the dishes slide across the table, and it's like spirit was moving things.
Yeah.
Or I'd be sitting in the living room the one time, and I'm sitting there, and the cabinet, the doors pop open on the cabinet.
They did.
And it's like, hey, we're here.
Hey, hello, we're here.
So I always found it something that, like a lady said to me one time, she said, well, I'd be afraid of having all these things happen. And I thought to myself, it's like, I'd be afraid if they weren't. If you felt really, like some people say, I feel very alone. I've never felt alone. I've always felt like someone's there, and someone's watching over me. And even when we have something happen, either physically or emotionally, that we're disturbed by, I always felt support.
That's awesome. I love that. You're right. And so you really, and I've said that to people too, you really never are alone. Spirit's
No.
always there for you. And I think if you get away from it, it kind of it comes with that fear where they're a little bit afraid. And how interesting for you, you grew up with that's just the way it is.
Well, my father said to me one time, he said, do you ever back away from anything? Because as a little kid, if something was to frighten me, I would go at it more than I would back away from it. You know, and he didn't understand that. He says, don't you have a self-preservational thought? But it was like, yes, but it wasn't something based in fear. It was based in handling or doing something to make things better.
Yeah. And based in faith and trust.
Yeah.
For sure.
Always.
Oh, yeah. That's I think, like when you teach intuitive development, which I want to talk about that, you're teaching mediumship.
Yeah.
When you get to that. Karen's actually going to pull something up, but Greg's teaching a class here in Lilydale called Old Style Mediumship from the founders of modern spiritualism. That's on Saturday the 29th, or I'm sorry, Friday, July 29th and Saturday, July 30th, and right here in Lilydale in the Lyceum.
Yep, I'll be in the Lyceum, and it should be a lot of fun. Last class we had last year, I had a wonderful time with that. And it was a lot of fun for people to wake up and be aware of things that, I'll put it this way. What we naturally do that is mediumship, that is, say, psychic, we have all these things going on that many times we don't recognize we do it. And then when you have someone say, did you realize you just picked this up? Or did you realize you just felt that or seen that? And it clicks then that it's like, wait a minute, yeah, that wasn't me sitting here thinking. It's something coming through. And once people start to connect with that and realize it, it's just then they recognize more and more. Because I believe we all have the gifts.
Me too.
I don't care who it would be. We all got the gifts.
I 100% agree. So you're kind of saying with that it's they're like have them notice kind of what they're doing throughout their day. Is there something like what are you picking up or what are you drawn to and paying attention all the time?
I remember sitting in circles where my teachers always taught me that you need to be in tune to the person giving the message. And like Inspiration Stump, Forest Temple, Auditorium, what spirit is giving the message medium, I'm getting ahead of that. And I'm feeling it and I'm recognizing it. And if somebody goes off track on things, like Dana Bailey was up here, one of my main teachers, he said to me one time, we're sitting in Inspiration Stump, and he bumps me and he goes, where are they getting that at? And I said, I have no idea. I said, because it wasn't spirit. Well, somebody sort of ran out of whatever they thought was information, and they're just going.
And they were just talking.
Yeah.
Sort of switching into giving their own opinion. Yeah.
And, I picked that up very quickly, and it's something that I'm feeling what's really there and how it really comes through. So we have to be aware, like I've had some people say to me, well, I keep checking myself and I think I'm stalling my forward movement. And I said, as long as we're not stalling our forward movement, it's good to check self and put ourselves in that position of checking to make sure we're staying on with what we're getting. Because I find the meaning, if we word it differently than what Spirit gives us, we're changing the meaning of what we're giving the person. And we need to be very aware of the purity of what they're giving us. And in many cases, the way they say it.
Yes.
We can divert it off where they're thinking in a whole other direction instead of what was really meant.
Right, because changing a couple of words around can give something a completely different meaning.
Absolutely.
So is that part of what you're teaching in this workshop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that'll be part of it. I want to start out with the basics and get people to recognize they were already doing some of these things. Now let's enhance them and bring them out more where they not only recognize it and utilize it. How many times we have after the event happens, I thought that. All right. Well, let's catch up to it and realize that we can feel that and then give it credence, recognize that it's really real. And then we now can handle what's coming without after the fact of it happening. We're going, oh yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, I wished
Or I
I would
felt
have done
that.
it different, or I wished I would have made a different decision.
I've had it happen many times where I was guided as to how to handle something, and you didn't have any tangible proof in the physical world to support that answer.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I knew that was the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the event occurs and you roll into the event, it's like now you get all the support in the world because that's exactly how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, that I've done the same thing, and
Yeah.
thought that too. So people, so if they sign up for your course, 2 days, I love that. And I've learned,
Mhm.
and by the way, I've learned from Greg, and taken many of his classes.
There is a question. It is
oh.
only in person, right, Greg?
Yeah, I don't think we have anything with video. At this
Yeah,
point.
it did say only in person.
Yeah.
And some people are saying they have it booked, so
Oh,
they
good,
can't
what,
wait.
What I find with that, sitting in person, you're able to really share the group energy.
Yeah.
And I understand on video, I read for people on Zoom, and I read for people over the phone in person. I mean, I've had a lot of those things happen, and I do it all the time. Whether I'm in Florida or here, I still
Mhm.
read for people. But what I find is if you have that personal circle, I have at times moved people in the circle around so we create a flow of energy.
Ah, okay.
And my teachers always taught me that it's like read the circle and who is an equal flow of energy all the way around.
Mhm.
If you have high points and low points, you move some high points in between the low points of energy and you balance it out. And I can watch the aura and energy build where it'll start building. I know I've had people sit in a circle and they'll go, it's getting hot in here. And it's like they'll feel the energy building.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful energy when you do that. But I certainly, I'd rather do it in person. I do a free class once a month on video, and we have people on there. We have, I don't know, 25, 35 people at times.
Excellent.
And that's a lot of fun. That's just a free thing I do. And it's always been a fun thing. But I do a little teaching, and then I get into what the message would be for the individuals and how they're progressing and what they can do. So I like doing that and draw some people to really understand themselves.
Sure.
But in the class, I think we're going to have fun with that. That'll be nice.
I think so too. When do you have your monthly circle? Just so people know, anybody can join.
Anyone can join. I have people from all over the world that join in the class. And I don't have the classes right now because of summer season being so busy in the
Right.
Dale.
I know.
And as soon as the Dale's over, I start back up with free classes again.
Excellent. And people can find out about that on your website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can go right to the
Go
website.
on Greg's website. And Greg does readings too all summer here in Lilydale.
Yeah, I work with people here all summer and serve in the auditorium, the outdoor services, do the class.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you give people a couple tips like how to connect that higher vibration or stay connected to their intuition?
Well, staying connected to intuition, the first thing is we got to reach a point of trust.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have a point of trust that, okay, I know I felt that. And it's almost like blueprinting it and saying, okay, I know what I felt when I felt that and it was correct.
Mm-hmm.
If we recognize what's correct, we remember what came through,
Mm-hmm.
but we remember the vibration we're in. What state of mind are we in? What state of vibration are we in?
Mm-hmm.
And recognize the idea that, okay, I want to go back to that vibration because that's an attunement to it working. And that's what I like to do in class, is get people to recognize when they do feel something, all right, what did I feel that surrounded that opened that window for that to come through?
Mm-hmm.
And once they get that in hand, then things start happening quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because once they get that figured out, it's then going to work well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people at times, instead of having a conscious awareness of it, they'll have dreams.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who have dreams that will have dreams depicting future or different events
Mm-hmm.
or warnings, but then during the conscious, they don't feel like they're picking up as much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the analytical get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have the analytical, let's say, more functional than our intuitive while we're awake, then we're restricting the intuitive. And we need to realize that we can change that where we can bring the intuitive up to an equal recognition with the analytical. And then we can start bumping the intuitive up even more because we're taking little items along the way and we're proving to ourselves that it works. And I think people at times, they got to have the proof.
Yeah.
And that's where they're at. They really have to have the proof.
Yeah.
I had one gentleman that he would do it, then he'd question everything. Then he would do it again and he'd question everything. But when he did it right and he did it well. But it's something that we have to reach that point that, remember, when we enter the earth plane and enter the body, we're given the opportunity of free will. So instead of as a soul level understanding that this is what we're here for, here's our lessons and experiences and, changes we need to make. Well, then we get here and we have this free will and then we go, I like it or I don't like it. If I don't like it, I push it away. Well, we're needing to look at things in a very simple manner of what am I learning from it? And allow it to be something we learn from. And therefore, how many times in your life, my life, everybody's life, we do something over and over and over and over. And it's like, come on, when are we going to finally get it here? And when are we going to finally not keep pushing it away? What am I learning from it? And then make the changes that bring harmony to it. And we don't have it happen again. My grandmother used to say to me, she said, do we want to have a speed bump or do we want to have a mountain? It's our choice.
All depends on how we look at it.
How are we going to learn things and deal with things if we don't allow ourselves to accept what we're needing to learn?
Yeah.
So that's so important for people to look at. And I find a lot of people, they're not, let's say, understanding of that or ingrained in that. They're ingrained in the idea that I can shove something away and I don't have to deal with it. No, we're going to deal with it.
We're going to, one way or the other, it's going to keep coming back until we do, right?
It's going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And then if we don't deal with things and we reach a point where health occurs in the body that restricts us, we can't run away from it.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
So when the health things occur in the body that stops us and makes us stop, look, and listen, there's a whole other story to that then. Yeah. Because they've ignored everything outside that they could push away. So something occurs to stop and make them listen.
Yes, it keeps on going and keeps on going until, and like you said, it manifests in the body to get to it for sure.
That's amazing.
So I want to ask you one last thing. When you were talking about like when you see people working at the stump or public and they're connected and then they're not.
Yeah.
So, and I have a lot of people ask me that, like I feel like I'm connected and then I feel like there's nothing else. How do they, if that happens, how do you stay connected?
Well, let's say it this way. If you felt the connection was broken, you then literally start again and you recenter self. So that way you're opening up and asking them to come in a way that you may understand and share. That way you're going to recommit that energy. And I see people all the time now. Remember, and you've heard this before too, when you're out at Inspiration Stump or Forest Temple, they'll say don't walk between the medium and the person.
Yes.
And some people, it's like just hanging up a phone when that happens. Yeah. And I've had it happen where I could feel the jolt of energy. Yeah. And I'd have to restart. Yeah. And I would say to the person, I said, give me a moment, and I would recenter, and I'd start back into the same vibration that it just left, and therefore they come back in and they're giving the information. Right. So it's something that to recenter is, to me, one of the first steps. There's other aspects, but I mean, that'd be the first step, would be just recenter. Because when you have that little shock back of energy that you feel broke off, I've had it happen where people would be in fear and they would break it off. And then, you mean the person you're giving the message to would be in fear? Yeah. And they'd be a little fear or something. And what I would do is I would just very gently change the energy, focus on the healing of it, give them a moment to sit there. And it's not a long time, but it's like letting the energy settle. And then come back to it with the rest of the message. And they're then very open and accepting. Yes. So you're focusing on the healing. I love that you said that, because it is all about healing. Yeah, and I find people, if they've had something traumatic in their life that hurt them really deeply, and you're going to hit direct on it, I find that if you can do it in a way that, okay, this event occurred, I try not to bring up exact circumstances unless it was absolutely necessary. Yeah. But if you can just say, this event occurred, and they know what you're giving them is definitely on.
Yeah.
And you can then share with them, okay, that's in the past.
Yeah.
That has been a lesson. You've learned, you've gained, you've progressed.
Yeah.
And now it's behind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to really allow it to be behind you and let go of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I've used the term at times, well, you know, look back in the rearview mirror and it disappears. You know, you're moving forward away from it.
Yeah.
Because there's some painful things in life that not only people remember, but they carry.
Yeah, they do.
You
And,
know?
and sometimes when you give a message like that, you're helping them not to carry it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You're giving them an inner level of understanding and permission to now drop and let go of it, where they normally would have felt almost like a guilt feeling to do so.
Yeah.
And if they recognize they don't need to feel guilty in that manner, it's then going to be a freedom of letting go.
For sure. And sometimes you can even, and I know when I've done readings too, you can, if the person looks lighter after you give that message, it makes a huge difference.
I just had a lady today say to me, she's sitting here and she goes, I don't want to run you over. But she goes, oh my God, I just want to sit here and stay here.
I just want to stay in your energy because it feels so good, right?
She says, I feel so late here.
Yeah.
You know, but I find that you create, like you have a reading room, I'm sure you create a vortex of energy that is surrounding the people you're working with.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and I know that's here. I feel that.
I can feel that just coming up on your porch. You know, I think I want to come here and sit here every day.
That's good. That's good.
So let's go back just quick. I want everybody to know again about Greg's class. Okay, Friday, July 29th and Saturday, July 30th. So coming up in a couple weeks. Old style mediumship from the founders of modern spiritualism. It's in the Lyceum, which I love teaching in the Lyceum. It's an amazing building here in Lilydale, and I love that it's in person. It's nice to get back to that.
I find it so meaningful to have that energy shared. And when you put the energy together in a circle and everyone is there in the same thought and intent, it's amazing what can build up.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, people say that too. They sit in a circle and you can meditate. Like they can't meditate, but they sit in a circle and they feel that energy and they can.
Well, I've taught classes for well over 40 years, and it's been interesting to recognize having a circle where it's a meditation in the circle, but yet you're working mediumship. I find it so interesting to watch the bridge of energy occur, where here's the person picking up on this person, and you literally can see the energy building between the two of them. And it gradually keeps manifesting more, and then pretty soon, one of them can't stand it and they got to say something.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Or you'll say, because I've been in circle with you, and you'll guide them and say, I feel you have a message for somebody here. I've seen you.
I'll pick people out and say, you know, you've been thinking about her for a long time, and this is what you're picking up. Please share it. And then they share it. You know, I had one lady that never given a message in her life, and she must have gave a message 8 minutes long, because when she finally opened up and she's in tears giving it, and the other lady's just sitting there, total strangers, and the woman's sitting there going,
Every part of it was right.
And the other woman is like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But it was like she really picked up well and had something very, very valid, you know, to touch base with.
Yeah, for sure.
I watch energy in a circle. That's why at times I've moved people around. You know, you'd have people that are not in the highest vibration at that time, or are able to understand what they're doing. And you put the other energies in the middle of that, and it just carries right through.
Yeah. I didn't know that you moved people around. You came and taught at Santosha, and you did that. And I think you moved the circle around a couple of times. And you could feel the difference with that too.
Yeah, I noticed the energy. It's like looking at a circle and realizing high energy, low energy. And to bring it to an equal level is making everything flow easier, and everyone will pick up more, and they'll feel more. I mean, I've had some people, it's sort of funny to say, but it's like one night at one circle, I had moved people around, and 3 of the people had to go to the bathroom. They had to get up and go to the bathroom, and I said, you okay? And she goes, I don't know what happened, but I sit over here now.
And it's different, right?
Yeah, different energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, if you can understand balancing it, it just really flows much better, and people are able to pick up more.
I can remember that.
And people that don't have an awareness of them being able to give a message, I know they can give a message.
Well, because I've seen you do that, and every time you've said, I feel like you have a message for use in the circle, the person always says, you're right. And they start giving the message, and it's an excellent message every single time.
Well, there's times you have to give them a little push.
Yes, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
You know, get them to actually say what they're feeling and thinking, and it works wonderfully.
Yeah.
And I know I've had a few people, it's like, well, how do you know that? And I said, well, I've done this all my life, and I recognize the energy, and I see the pressure building up that it needs to be said, and the other end of it needs to hear.
Yeah.
So it's like, this really needs to occur.
Yeah, I feel like that just in my mediumship, that I have to do it. You know, I feel like because it is healing, you know, and we can get the words, any of us, like, and we're all intuitive, we trust that, and we can help people heal.
Oh,
make a difference in their lives.
I had a lady come in for a reading here a short time ago, an older woman, and her family members came through and explained a whole bunch of things to her about what occurred in the family that she did not know about.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about lighter and healing. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. She says, now I understand. And it's like, by her understanding, she let go of a whole bunch of stuff, because she was standing out here and she's like on springs on her feet. And I said to her, I said, no, I said, just go for a walk, let the energy carry you. And I said, you can think about what we share. And that way she lets it absorb, instead of it being something that, you know, you're trying to push one way or another.
Yeah, you have to take it in, kind of process it, and let it go through, and shift your energy.
You know, like I do recordings on the iPad, and we send it out over the internet to them. And that way they have it, and they can go over it again. And it just makes such a difference. You know, really helps.
I always did that when I came here for readings back in my 20s. I listened to them a few times just because you miss things.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, okay, so if anybody wants to find out about Greg's class, the Old Style Mediumship from Founders of Modern Spiritualism, and that's on your website.
What is Greg's website?
Yeah.
Somebody had asked that.
Well, I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have your website. We can post it in comments. Everybody will post Greg's, so you can find that out. I actually thought I did have it written down. I could find
Greg Kehn, and Greg Kehn, Kehn. You just look up the name and you'll get the website.
Yeah, that's how I did it. So.
That's how I did it earlier too. Or you can go on lilydaleassembly.org, and Greg's class is on there. And what I did is I went and searched, and I at the top of the website, and I put Greg's name, and that workshop came right up, and they can register right there. I mean, it's a great workshop, everybody. Like, if you want to really learn about mediumship and hear more of Greg's stories, here it is. Oh, here's Greg's website. Okay, we have it. Okay. That was good on this card. So www.rev, Gregory, Gregory, Kehn, KEHN.com. Okay. And if you that's it. I won't give you your phone number or any of that, but but you can go on there and get all the information on Greg. Yeah. And if somebody wanted to make an appointment with you for a reading, that's go on the website too.
Sure.
Yeah. So go on.
Yeah, we have it set up. Leslie, my wife, takes care of that. It's on the website. And you can go on the computer and make your own appointment. And if you wanted to call and make an appointment that way, that's fine too.
Excellent.
So it works out real good.
Excellent. And Greg will even tell you things. I've heard messages so accurate from him. He'll tell you there's something going on with your car. Check the number 7 spark plug or something, and it'll be correct.
Well, one of the things that when I was 16, I went to Newcastle School of Trades in Pennsylvania, and I became a master mechanic in California, Ohio, and PA.
Okay.
And I had all the paperwork of being the master mechanic, and I enjoyed it. So Spirit utilizes my knowledge to say, you know, this is what's wrong in the car, what's going on. So I've had them come through with some very unusual things.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, okay, like one gentleman come down from Canada on a motorcycle. I think it was his wife or his girlfriend. There was a group of them here, and he got a message in the auditorium, and I said to him, I said, you just had it in the shop before you came down. You picked it up and you drove down here. I said, someone mechanics forgot to tighten one of the bolts on the rear assembly, I said, it's not going to create an accident right now, but I want you to go back to the shop, and have it looked at. Well, when he was getting on his bike, he thought that was somewhat of a joke. Somebody, they knew I ride a bike and all that. And the girlfriend came back down and she said to me, she goes, he about passed out when they got to the shop because she made him go to the shop.
Wow.
And the guy was so apologetic that he had forgotten to tighten the bolt in the assembly.
Wow.
And the bolt, it could have worked out and been a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So you're using mediumship to help people with things like that too, which is
Oh
excellent.
yeah, it happens all the time.
And you're right. I like that you said that too, that spirit comes through your knowledge. So you have knowledge of that, and that's why you get it that way.
They utilize what you understand, and they'll use symbols to let you know, so you really know what you're giving is correct.
Yeah. So I always say that to people, like, the more you learn. I remember Jesse first said that to me, learn as much as you can, because then spirit has other ways to come through.
Well, they have many avenues then to share something that they can reach through you. And I'll put it this way, like everyone's vibration is a little different. But certain people may pick it up by sight, other people pick it up by hearing, other people pick it up by reading.
Yes.
And it's like, I find that with each person I read for, whatever energy they would understand the best is how spirit shifts things to bring it through to them. And that, I think, is wonderful, because I've seen some people that someone will give a very valid message, but the way they were giving the message, the person wasn't understanding or accepting. But if you really work with spirit and you say, okay, it isn't my vibration, it's the person I'm going to.
Yeah.
And how can we work with that so they really understand? I mean, there's not much use to giving them something and they have no clue.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I love that. I've never heard you say that. That's good too. So, why should they take your workshop? What are the main things that people are going to learn in your workshop?
Well, let's put it this way. Whatever level they have an understanding in, they're certainly going to progress and gain more. And I'm going to do enough in the basics to get them to understand they're already doing it. And then work with going beyond what they're already doing to now, okay, the doors are open now. Now let's move into what you have thought you couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I like getting them in a circle then and getting them going on the idea that they expand beyond what they're used to, or what they're in a, let's say, a trust zone.
Yeah.
They have a certain trust zone, and you get them beyond the trust zone. Yeah. And once you do that, it's like they're on a roll then.
Yeah, they're going to get going.
I mean, I just see them take off.
Which is awesome. So is the workshop, it's for all levels, would you say?
All levels.
All levels.
Yeah.
All levels. And you'll learn. I mean, I'm learning just sitting here with you. You're a natural teacher, and I'm learning. So you'll learn a lot.
I've always had fun with it, because I don't really believe that necessarily someone totally basic or medium or advanced. I find that everyone has areas they're stronger in, and there's other areas they're not used to or they don't have trust in. You may have trust in doing it this way, but now that you're progressing, it changes it.
Yeah.
And as you change it, it's like, okay, yeah, that was a foundation. My teacher, Dana Bailey, always said to me, if we gain something that we're really enthralled with and it works really well, that means that we're going to move that on to the next thing too. So no matter what we're learning and gaining, there's always a progression to another level. And it's not a circumstance of being stuck at one level. Like I've seen some teachers that say, oh, I'm the teacher, you're the student, that's it. This is the way it is. And they don't let anybody go by them.
Yeah.
My teachers always said to me, I want you to do what I'm doing, and I want you to do more than I'm doing. And I have not had a teacher in my life that didn't do that and say that and really live it.
Yeah.
Now, I see some people at times in the public that it's like, all right, they're the master and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's called you stopped growing.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't believe we ever should stop growing. No matter what we're learning and doing, we should be progressing on beyond that.
For sure. I think so. Because I think when you teach, you learn from your students too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I have students say things to me and I'm like, I never thought of that. I'm teaching and I learned something too every time.
I think it's wonderful, because I believe we're all students. And it's just the idea that you may have some areas of experience beyond some others, but they may have something that, like you're saying, it's like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the
I
same
mean,
thing.
like the old adage of out of the mouth of babes, you know, and you're like,
Yes,
wow, that hit you.
so many times, so many times. I write it down. It's like, I got to write this one down. It's a good one.
Great energy.
So, Greg, thank you.
You're
Thank you. This
welcome.
is
You're
wonderful
welcome.
to get to come and sit on your
Blessing.
porch. Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. And
Thank you, dear.
yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, thanks to Karen.
You could tell my arms are getting tired as I get really wobbly here.
I know.
That's all right.
I know. Thank you, Karen. And everybody,
Thank you, dear.
thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us. And we'll be back again next Wednesday for more golf cart adventures in Lilydale with Karen and Angie.
God bless you guys. Take care.